Hey, peace and blessings, star family, wherever you are. Nice to see you again for this video about the upcoming lunar cycle. This lunar month will take place between July 5th and August 4th, 2024. And on July 5th, a new moon in constellation Gemini will take place in the degree of the brightest star in the sky after our sun, fixed star Sirius, the Scorcher, an astrological powerhouse. And then on July 21st, the lunation culminates with the full moon on the Cap-Sag cusp, conjunct Pluto, a planet of intense power and transformation. We're talking about constellations and sidereal astrology. If you're new to the channel, this is oneskyastrology. I'm Michael. And if you are new to the channel, or for any reason you were conceptualizing this new moon as a Cancer moon, we're talking about it in Gemini because that's where the sun and moon are if you were to look up in the sky. They're in Gemini with Venus. Venus is right on the degree of fixed star Pollux, sun and moon in the degree of fixed star Sirius. Mercury is in Cancer, and just a quick note on that Cancer border. Say hi to TS and goodbye, TS. Just a note on this Cancer border. The stars of Cancer seem to extend into the bounds of Gemini, but that's actually a plotting error in this 3D program. The actual stars of Cancer are as illustrated in red here. So I've adjusted the border to reflect the accurate constellation boundaries. The South Node is a bit of a loner here in Virgo. And coming back around, we have Jupiter on Aldebaran, fixed star Aldebaran, the bullseye. Uranus on fixed star Algol, the Lilith star. And those are two of the more dynamic points within the bounds of constellation Taurus. We have Mars finishing up Aries, very soon to move into Taurus. And we have Eris in southernmost Pisces. So she's moving northward. She's come up through Sculptor and Cetus and is making her way towards the ecliptic. Joining Chiron in conjunction by degree, also joining the North Lunar Node and Neptune in those stars of Pisces. Saturn is finishing up Aquarius right on the Pisces-Aquarius cusp, but he's just gone retrograde. And he'll be retrograde until mid-November, and then finally enter Pisces mid to late February 2025. And Pluto is on a cusp to this electric no man's land between Capricorn and Sagittarius, very powerful cusp. And a quick note about Pluto, 248 years ago, Pluto was exactly right here in the sky, because Pluto has a 248-year orbit. So on July 4th, 1776, this is the Pluto location. And on July 16th of 2024, it makes its second contact of 3, exact contact with the U.S. natal Pluto position. And that's a Pluto return. That's the U.S. Pluto return. We've got like a February, July, December sort of map for exact contact there. So this will be the peak of that cycle. I made a video about the United States first Pluto return, which I will link to at the end of this video. Also, last month we got a little sneak peek of this. This month we're going to kind of get full scale into considering Ceres, introducing dwarf planet Ceres into the rotation. She is on Sagittarius. In Sagittarius, on a fixed star close enough to a fixed star nunci to be significant. So just a quick word on why I'm choosing to include Ceres at this time. I've always read Eris, probably for as long as I've done these videos, I've included Eris because she's significant. She's the size of Pluto and our moon, and they're the biggest dwarf planets by far, Pluto and Eris. And they're in a little bit of a class of their own. Ceres is an inner planet. Ceres, and we'll get into why I'm including Ceres, but Ceres plays a more significant role in the astrology of our solar system than I'd say most of the other asteroids, almost uncontestedly, and you know, some of the other dwarf planets. I've really, when I start to look, I see Ceres pop up as significant when I pay attention. So we'll see what's here. We're going to kind of fold her into these reports. So I want to take a little bit of time and talk about Ceres. This dwarf planet was named after a Greco-Roman goddess, the goddess of grain, associated with seasons, crops, nourishment, human fertility, harvest, and health. She was the mother of Kore, who became Persephone thanks to Pluto's obsessive and troubled approach to relationships, and she lost and regained her daughter. Lost Kore and regained Persephone, and she was wizened in the process, if also wounded. So that's Ceres in mythology. As anyone who watches this channel knows, I take a dim view of institutional mythology, classic mythology. Ceres in astronomy, right? So what's the science? Ceres was the first asteroid discovered in 1801. Now considered a dwarf planet as of 2006. Hail Eris. She's 14 times smaller than Pluto. The moon, Pluto, and Eris are all about this size, and Ceres is here relatively, it's pretty significantly smaller. But she's similar in size to Dysnomia, the moon of Eris. So Ceres is a smaller body, but Ceres is 25% of the mass of the asteroid belt. All by herself. She is a quarter of the asteroid belt. She has no moons, and she seems to be the remains of a planet that once existed in this band of the solar system. Now, there, I said it, I feel better, because one of the many elephants in the rooms of institutional science that no one is allowed to talk about is a cosmic catastrophe, a planetary cataclysm. That used to get people character assassinated in the world of institutional science. Now it just gets you shadow banned. Thank you, Velikovsky. But the tightest bowed law, which is a formulaic prediction of the distance between planets in a solar system, does place a planet exactly at the distance from the sun that we find the asteroid belt. So the laws of planetary placement in the formation of solar systems would place a planet at that distance from the sun. I'll leave that there. Ceres is a body that, like I said, was discovered in 1801. So we have some history of knowledge about her. So far, we have mothering, nurturing, parenting, and family dynamics. And those seem to be pretty good hits. They seem to be pretty solid. People have tried to massage life cycles and karmic seasons, but all planets have their attendant cycles and seasons. Likewise, many people have sort of massaged, kind of interpreted this mythological relationship with food and nutrition. And maybe we do see a connection to health, wealth, loss, grief, and recovery. Post-traumatic stress and post-traumatic growth are two things I've noticed correlate to Ceres. She's a goddess holding wheat. It is strangely resonant with Virgo. And if you were paying attention to those themes, food, nutrition, health, wealth, loss, grief, recovery, post-traumatic stress, post-traumatic growth, that's Virgo in a nutshell. So we have a resonance with Virgo in Ceres, but I want to stick to interpretation in the lineage of Alan Clay, going back to the work of Dane Rudhyar and transpersonal astrology. And I'm not a transpersonal astrologer, but I think Alan Clay's work is important, and he recognizes Ceres as a higher octave of the moon. So this is interesting, because Ceres is as a higher octave of the moon has her own expression of cycles and seasons and totality contained within her in her own way. I mean, the moon is how we envision change and life cycles. I mean, if you look up the triple goddess, the maiden, mother, crone, you'll find this is all symbolized by 3 different phases of the moon. So before we go making maiden, mother, crone out of this, like moon, Ceres, and Sedna as a higher octave of Ceres, what I want to say is that it's yes, painfully obvious, but it's also there's more there. There's more, because each one of these archetypes contains, again, like the cycles and seasons and life journey and stages, and it's already part of that. So let's look a little deeper. The effect of Ceres astrologically is more collective compared to the moon's resonance with individual reality. And when we go up to this kind of third octave, this third octave of the inner planets, which correlates with Sedna, we find a mystical, spiritual expression of personhood. And Sedna's mythological themes of victory through personal sacrifice and profound compassion for life, for living things. It's very dharmic. And we can start to draw narrative lines, looking at what we know about the moon and applying this sort of second octave, the patterns that second octaves fit. I want to say this is an emergent field of study. There's not a lot of astrological field study on Sedna. There's not a lot of depth work on Ceres. But back to Ceres astrologically, what I've found is, to the extent that Ceres is a higher octave of the moon, it reflects our humanity. Okay, if the moon is reflecting our identity, that's a connection to our personhood. The collective humanity, the collective identity of Ceres, the collective consciousness, is expressed by a connection to humanity without, the way we connect to humanity outside of ourselves, and our experience of our own humanity within. Our relationship with the ideal and the concept of humanity. I found Ceres to be about the core life processes that bring us together, that unite us into groups, tribes, societies. The moon unites us all into families, and Ceres unites us into a kind, our humanity, our humankind. It's resonant with collective reality, or realities that we're tapped into. So, to contrast that, Sedna seems to unite all of life very broadly, up and down the tree of phylogeny, everything that seems to have a soul, right? From slime molds and insects to primates and humanity, alien life of advanced nature, spiritual beings living in subtle dimensions of light and information. Sedna is very, very, very deep and profound, but Ceres, just to put some buzzwords out there, I want to connect Ceres to the collective consciousness, to our experience of humanity, our relationship to humanity. But with that in mind, let's get back to this lunar cycle. I have a bit to say about this new moon in Gemini on fixed star Sirius, as you can imagine. And we're opposite Ceres. This is one of the main reasons we're introducing Ceres this month, is we have zeroed relationship here. We have an absolutely exact opposition to dwarf planet Ceres, and our closeness to fixed star Sirius is nearly zeroed. It's a 0 degrees 1 arc minute. Profoundly close. We have this in a Gemini, and it's kind of Sagittarius cycle. I just want to start by saying we're looking at the chart of the new moon, just what we were looking at in that 3D planetarium view. The new moon is a low point in the pulse of energy related to the moon. It's also a natal chart for the month. It's an excellent time to slow down and get in deeper touch with life. And activities are favored, such as journaling, study, contemplation, meditation, strategizing, chilling out. I think of the new moon as a time to accomplish more by doing less. And Gemini, as a group of stars, is very curious, very information-oriented. It's very mentally active. There's a lot of energy here, restless, sort of discovering mental energy. There's a lot of energy here around trading, sharing, bartering, haggling, thinking, talking. It's just very loquacious and curious and primed for discovery. Gemini represents the world of ideas. Just full stop, the world of ideas is encapsulated, mental ideas in Gemini. And to get a little bit more specific information, we're in the degree of Gemini of fixed star Sirius. Now, I already said a lot about Ceres, and I want to keep this video under an hour, so I don't want to say a lot about Sirius, but there's a lot we could say. It's associated by Brady with the fire of immortality. Ideas that transcend time and place, the timeless, the real power that drives the human story, the story of evolution here on Earth. It's too hot. It's too much. It's called the scorcher. It gives success by way of managing the sort of too muchness of whatever Sirius touches. Brady says about it, Pablo Picasso and Galileo Galilei were both born at the moment Sirius was rising. Sirius is the brightest star in the sky and is connected to great deeds, the mundane becoming sacred. It can burn if it is not used, and its presence on the ascendant at birth is a huge indication that one is going to be asked to do great things. A person may fail in this endeavor, but if he or she is brave enough to stride forward and go through the pain and turbulence implied by Sirius, then success is assured. So, what does that mean? It's a success star. It's a powerful success star. And when it shows up, there will be big energies. Let's look a little at the Gemini Sagittarius axis, where we find this relationship to dwarf planet Ceres. This is an axis, the Sagittarian side of which favors truth, just like the Gemini side favors info. So Sagittarius deepens, and it conditions Gemini by developing higher orders of thought like philosophy, ways of thinking, logical frameworks that allow us to approach the mysteries of life. And Gemini deepens and conditions Sag by keeping us broad and scientific. Sag will get zealous, proud, right? Bolstered by the delusion that it's correct in the sight of God. That's basically Sagittarius's fundamental delusion, the delusion of the zealous. And it can do deranged and outrageous things. Gemini keeps it scientific, keeps it flexible, keeps it open and broad-minded, and reminds Sagittarius that it could be anything. It's not necessarily the way you think it is or the way you've been told it is by your holy books and big men in funny hats. I think that the combination of Sirius, Sun, and Moon with Ceres in Sagittarius in exact opposition, is going to issue a challenge to the collective, to deal with a lot. I think this could be a month when the world has to deal with a lot. Actually, Venus is on an important star too, a star, one of the twins of Gemini, Pollux, the head of Pollux. And in the light-dark dichotomy, like in as much as twins represent polarity, Pollux was the dark twin, the evil twin, the kind of Set or Cain figure. And yeah, I do just want to mention, because because the new moon is obviously making contact to Mars and Saturn, and if you're paying attention, you'll see Saturn and Mars making very close contact to each other. So we do have a pattern here where the sun and moon are trine to Saturn and very closely sort of sextiled by Mars on the sun moon Saturn midpoint. And the thing about this that I think we can say in a quick nutshell is that Mars in Aries initiates new steps, big new beginnings signature. And in the final critical degrees of Aquarius, I think Saturn is also vibrating at that frequency, inspiring new phases, new beginnings, collective new beginnings. Personal new beginnings could be made here too. A big advance this month in either area. But I think we're primed for something big. That's what Sirius indicates. And I think that Sagittarius has the power of expanding things, making them very collective, making them very universal and broad. And I think Ceres is likewise connected with actually the collective consciousness in a powerful way. But we'll see as this month unfolds, friends. That's about all I want to say for the new moon. Let's shift to take a look at the transits, and we'll look at the transits between the new moon and full moon. Let's see. The transits don't include Ceres. Next month will include Ceres. I don't have a lot of information about Ceres in mundane astrology, interestingly enough. That there's not a lot of that out there. That doesn't seem to be just kind of reworked mythological material, kind of massaged into astrological language that I'm really not certain about. I'd like to do a case study of Ceres, just like I did a case study of Eris, and publish that. But for now, we'll have to wait. So the 7th and 8th is a very interesting time this month. It's July. Venus will square Eris. Venus will sextile Uranus. Mercury will trine the North Node. It will sextile Jupiter. And it will sextile the South Node. And at the same time, Jupiter is sextile to the North Node. And this is an interesting time where I think figuring out solutions to things is probably the most constructive expression of the energies. Insights and breakthroughs, kind of karmic progress and resolution, attend the nodes. And I think this could be an interesting time, if a little bit unexpected and chaotic, for the presence of Eris and Uranus activated via contact of Venus. And speaking of Venus, the 11th and 12th see Venus trine. Actually, it starts here on the 10th with Venus trine to Neptune. That goes 10th through the 12th, and then July 11th through the 13th, so sort of overlapping. Venus will oppose Pluto. And the thing about these is they're very different in effect. What we know about them is that they tend to be two ends of the Venusian spectrum. Venus trine to Neptune is very beautiful, harmonious, romantic, a lot of love and a lot of love and appreciation. Venus opposite to Pluto can be power struggles and more diabolical expressions within relationship. It could be the case that if this affects this Venus transit, because she'll be nearly in the same position in the sky these couple of days, if this hits your chart in a way that affects your relationship life, it could seem like a flip from one to the other. Just be aware on the 11th and 12th that if things get bumpy and rocky and unstable, that's just a symptom of Venus opposite Pluto, and it's asking for the deepening and intensifying of relationship awareness. That brings us to the 13th. I want to get the waxing quarter moon up on the screen, just for those folks who like to make a careful study of the lunar cycle. We see Jupiter still on Aldebaran. We see fixed star Algol beginning to be activated by Mars, and Uranus has been here for a while. Yeah, all right. And with that, all right, so we're back with the transits, and we're here on July 14th, 15th, and 16th, and Mars will conjoin to Uranus. This is a pretty lucky combination, but like we just saw on the waxing quarter moon chart, that's all happening in the degree of fixed star Algol. We'll talk a little more about Algol for the full moon because it plays a little bit of a role. For now, I want to group this transit in. We have Mars conjoined to Uranus, Sun square to Eris, Sun sextile to Eris, and all of this right around the 16th, the time of the exact contact, the peak of the U.S. Pluto return. So these days from the 13th to the 20th are just going to be extraordinarily volatile, and not for anything that may or may not happen in the United States, but just because, again, that's what happens when you have a prevalent influence of Uranus and Eris in any situation. Things become unpredictable, unstable, surprising, volatile, they erupt unexpectedly. It's just the modality of these forces. Eris is a little bit of a ninja, and Uranus is a little bit of a terrorist when it comes to their manifestations, their processes. So here I want to put up on the screen really quickly the chart for the 16th of July. This is the Pluto return for United States. This is how the transits look at that time. And the relationships we see Pluto making are opposing Sun, opposing Venus, trine Mars, and trine Uranus. These are the significant ones. Square Eris, sextile Neptune, also significant. But what I see in this Mars-Uranus conjunction trine to Pluto is this is what makes me say that it's a very volatile influence, because on Algol, this is just primed for something explosive to happen, something dark, and I'm not at all in the habit of sensationalizing these reports. I want to be as clear as I can that I do see like positive expression here around this time, that we could be using this time to, take risks and do brave and daring new things. That's usually what Mars and Uranus together succeed at. They succeed at doing things, risky, dangerous things that you don't think are going to be successful. So right around this time, I want to just put a cautionary note towards this part of the month. The kinds of things that might happen around the peak of a Pluto return are not likely to happen on the 16th precisely, because Pluto isn't that exact in his timings, but they are likely to happen around the 16th. And all month, I think we should just be aware that that's a major influence and act accordingly. All right, so that brings us to this kind of cluster of transits at the very end of the month, the 19th, 20th, 21st. We have Mars sextile Neptune. We have Mercury trine Eris, Mars trine Pluto. And this is all, it's all pretty, I mean, I would call this malefic contacts. But we also have Mercury square Uranus. We have Venus sextile to Jupiter and Sun trine to Neptune. And those are pretty benefic contacts. And all of this happens, all of these contacts happen while Eris is stationed retrograde. And Eris stations retrograde for the full moon. All I'm going to say about this is that looks volatile. Looks volatile, fam. I want to put just a really general cautionary note on this month. Looks volatile. All right, fam. I want to move on to the full moon here on the 21st of July. Yeah, sorry for forgetting that my head was down there. Yeah, we'll get that right. So the moon here for the full moon is conjoined Pluto, and that's a big high power signature here on a pretty electric, pretty powerful cusp. The full moon is always going to be the high point of the lunar cycle. It's always going to be the part of that sine wave associated with peak, with manifestation and the expression of the intention of the cycle. So here, what we have expressed is that this cycle wants to express transformation. Something's going to change. Something's going to give. The moons conjoin Pluto on the cusp of these powerful signs. And, this ruled by Saturn, this ruled by Jupiter. We have stars that are concerned with the structure of power. The sun is on a cusp. What some people call the cusp of magic. If this is the cusp of power, maybe Gemini, Cancer, you can say if that fits for you. I'm not so much a fanciful astrologer. I find that fanciful, but I do think the Cancer Gemini cusp is a cusp that is inherently wise. I think there's a lot of wisdom here, and I think that there's a tendency to be applying what we know, which in a way is wisdom. If you're not doing anything with it, you're not wise. That's just a bunch of stuff floating around in your head. There's wisdom. It comes from the application of knowledge, right? We have to understand something and internalize it and act on it for it to be wisdom. That's an old definition of wisdom, going back to the Roman, to the old Roman definition, the understanding of it. But I digress. Where are we? Back here, right? Gemini, Cancer, the sun looking across the sky at a moon-Pluto conjunction. While here Uranus is 1 degree from fixed star Algol, the demon star. The Lilith star, mind you, but before it was the demon star. Long ago, it was the Lilith star associated with feminine power. Now it's understood very commonly to be a volatile star about intense passion, specifically female passion. Bernadette Brady, who's a star wizard in and of just on her own, she says this star is primitive. It's female. It's about sexual energy. It's passionate. It's intense, and it's also hysterical in the true sense of the word. So even if you want to go back to the ancient roots of the understanding of the power of this star, this is not an easy star. It is not a peaceful star. And I want to caution everybody that Uranus, that close to it for this full moon, is a symbol, is a signifier of volatility. It's the word of the month. I hope everyone got their Venus blessings all stored up last month in Taurus season when Venus was all excellent and all the benefics were smiling. I hope everyone made some good strides. I hope there were good things, because this month is so different, so different. We have Neptune forming another close relationship. Now, Neptune's a slow-moving planet, so this has taken some time to cultivate, but we're 7 arc minutes away from fixed star Shiat. Now, what do we know about Shiat? It's associated with heartbreak, grief, loss, sorrow, accidents, turbulence, unpredictability, but also needing to think independently, breaking with conventional thought, great insight through breakthrough, and the gift and curse of genius. We have, as you can see in the middle of the wheel, a lot of close aspects. These thick lines indicate closeness. If you look here on this table, you'll see there's not just a lot of 0-degree aspects, but there's a lot of major, like trines, sextiles, squares, sextiles. It's not, opposite. Well, that's a given, that opposition, but for a full moon. But what I mean to say is there's a lot of close major relationships, and that means power. That means things are going to get turned up and interwoven. Things will be working together. And it just increases the dynamic tension of any signature to have a bunch of close relationships. And the icing on the cake, my friends, the creme de la creme, is that this full moon is T-squared. The Sun, Moon, Pluto opposition, T-squared by Eris. And get this, she's stationed. Eris is stationed retrograde, just like we saw in the transits. While all that crazy stuff is happening, while all those aspects are perfecting, we have this full moon, and she T-squares the moon. All right, to put some words together about all that, just to step back and look at the whole thing at once, I want to say, that looks volatile. I was talking to a dear but distant friend about their plans for this month, and they had expressed that they wanted to get engaged and involved directly via traveling to maybe it was demonstrate, maybe it was protest, maybe it was just make their voice heard, do some peaceful political actions. And they're very wise to the skies, and they expressed to me that seeing this in their own thoughts, they thought better of going out there this month and getting involved. So if we can glean any wisdom, and I'm not saying that's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do, I'm just saying this is a friend who is very wise, very, very good with interpretation of stars and planets. And that's a take on this that I share. I'm not going to be going out this month because I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm not going to be getting involved in any of the, goings on around, anything from politics. There's like full scale debates and everything going on right now, to the culture wars that are tearing at the heart and fabric of United States life. No. This is a month to stay at home and to make the most of this in a personal way. I mean, this Moon Pluto can signify personal transformation just as easily as it signifies societal transformation. Now, transits and mundane astrology will always apply to the collective. There's no way around that. There's no way to massage this and tell you that I see anything but volatility here. Too much. Sirius, the new moon. Too much. Too hot. No, I don't know. I'd lay low. Keep a low profile, fam. And on the way to the next new moon, which we'll check, so we'll see where this is going. We'll take a quick peek. On the way to the next new moon, I want to look at the transits for the rest of this month. So again, no series in here, but we're looking at this as the full moon, and this will be August 4th, the next new moon. So the 23rd and 22nd with Sun opposite Pluto portends power struggles, portends difficulty integrating, portends obstacles having to do with control or manipulation. We sort of touched on this in the at the end of the last transits report, because both days include the 21st. So I'm not going to say a lot about this, except that it's very complicated. It's going to be an intense full moon. It's going to be an intense full moon, friends. I see that the Sun makes a sextile to Mars, and they're moving together for almost a week. See that this is a Cancer-Taurus sextile with the Sun in Cancer and Mars in Taurus at this point. And that's energetic and dynamic. It could move things forward, and it could help emotionally. It could help us to process and ground. It could help us to process and ground anything. I want to be very broad, because the way this impacts anyone's natal chart is going to be different, given that chart. The way this will impact us all is it just create an energy where there's progress, movement of things forward. It's a very Sun Mars energy, when things get excited to take next steps. All right, and that brings us to the waning quarter moon. I'm gonna remember this time, and we're gonna take a look at this waning quarter moon chart. And this is for the folks who make that study of the cycle, who want to see what's going on. We have a waning quarter moon in Aries, and it's trying to Ceres, but not closely. Square to Pluto, but not closely. I see Neptune right here on fixed star Shiat, of course, moving slow, and now at 2 arc minutes. So that's the most significant thing I see about that chart. Now we can get back to this transits. And we do start to see movement, very slow movement of Neptune and Pluto towards a sextile. They will enter orb on 27th of July, but they don't make contact until the 12th of September and 19th of November. And this contact will be in orb until December 24th, 2024. So this will just be an influence. We'll get used to seeing this over the next couple months, the summer and fall in the northern hemisphere here. And we'll get used to seeing Neptune sextile Pluto. And it'll go on even longer, because that September 12th and November 9th contacts are just the first 2 of 5 contacts. So that'll go through 2025, maybe into 2026. Just starting now, just starting this month. We'll say more about that in the future, and it becomes more appropriate. And to wind down this cycle, we have the last little period of time before the next new moon. And we see Venus trine to Eris. We see Venus square to Uranus. And this has been a theme. This has been a theme this week, and that's actually the only two contacts that are actually making exact contact. There's some slipping into degree of orb of the nodes, but we're going to disregard that and just look at these Venus contacts, because on August 1st and August 2nd, we have more Eris and Uranus action. I think the positive expression of this is that it could help us to appreciate chaos and disorder, chaos and this kind of radical revolutionary Uranian surprises that tend to come up when Uranus is accentuated. There could be relationship strain or relationship mutation, right? Relationship growth. There could be relationship growth. Absolutely. Very true. There's going to be a need at this time, just correlate with these Venus relationships, with freedom from constraint. There could be issues around freedom from constraint, but on the whole, I think it's a pretty mild, pretty smooth transition to that next new moon. So that's all for that. I want to open that next new moon. We'll get a couple thoughts about this down. All right, this is the next new moon, August 4th. This is what we're winding down towards for the latter half of the cycle in July. We'll be making way for this Cancer new moon with Mars on Aldebaran and Venus on Regulus. Yeah. Looks like a lot. Mercury will be stationed retrograde, and Neptune will be 4 arc minutes past fixed star Shiat. But that's all I want to say. That's all I want to say about that, fam. Yeah, I made some changes to my approach to this video and the structure of this video. If you notice anything different, or you like it or you didn't, or you just want to say, hey, comment, yeah, give me feedback. Let me know how it is, what you like, what you don't. Yeah, and speaking of that, support my channel. You can like and subscribe and do those supportive things that help me to grow and gain visibility. I'm on break from my dialogue series, usually doing some sort of conversational thing. I have some plans for that. I have millions of people, well, so many it seems, that I want to do a dialogue with. So there will be more. I'm working on a video on planetary nodes. This is sort of a very exciting topic within evolutionary astrology that I've just found like incredibly rich and helpful, and I want to kind of shed some light on. And that's been a big topic on in the community discussion on radical astrology on Facebook, which is a group I just want to kind of open the door to. Anyone who's watched this video this far, you should really, if you have a Facebook account, you should like find the rest of us and, you know, check this out. Radical Astrology is a group where you can get in touch with other people who are interested in constellational astrology. I want to throw Serena's fundraiser up. Get the link in the description below. She's made it 1 year, and you know, we're looking forward to a decision soon, but she hasn't been able to work or make any money, and she's survived only by the graces of the community and our families and all of the generosity that has been considerate of her incredibly difficult position. Yeah, so please check that out. And if you can share or donate, or, you know, yeah, those are the big ones, sharing it and donating. All right, fam, everybody out there, stay safe, be blessed. Thank you, and goodbye.